On your feet! Get them going!
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be. I have not changed my shirt. Whoops. Apologies. Welcome to Cross Examinations Live. My name is Mike Miller. I'm not a pastor, priest, rabbi, theologian, teacher, preacher, scholar. Name the things I'm not. Engineer. I'm just an artist and a writer and a guy who's spent way too much time arguing with atheists over the years. Maybe not way too much time. It is what I enjoy it. I'm not a formal debater. I've never actually had a formal debate. I don't think I'd want to put the time into it, honestly. One of our guys who comes in here once in a blue moon, but constantly pesters us in the Discord, Objective Ethics, enjoys saying I'm a chicken because I won't have a formal debate on another channel. And I'm like, you're welcome to come on my channel. We can discuss stuff. I don't do formal debates. I don't do formal. That you debated the crap out of Grok. Well, what I try to do with Grok is use essentially. Well, first of all, Grok has all the information at its fingertips, right? So what I try to do is sort of it gives me information I sort of like go down that rabbit hole of that information that it gives me. So it is more of a conversation when I'm taking what it's giving me and being like, well, if that's the case, then what about this? If that's the case, then what about this? And if that's the case, then what about this? And so that's kind of the conversation that I don't know if that's leading. I suppose it's leading it, but it's under its own parameter. It's under its own logic, right? It's not like I'm not like, Grok, replace your logic with my logic. I'm like, just use logic and facts and evidence and reason and not the opinions of other people who, I hate to break it to all you science worshipers out there, but science is led by scientists, and scientists are what we call people, and people have prejudices and biases and are not perfect little logic machines like one would want AI to be. And so if you set up the parameters for these base rules, hopefully you can get to some factual information. But we're not doing Grok today. I mean, what the heck? We might do Grok today. You never know. But what's going on? Well, first of all, I'm in kind of a bleh mood because I got woken up today having to deal with. I'm so irresponsible. I'm terribly, terribly irresponsible. So I have solar on my house, and it really, like, every year, it's like I have positive and negative months, and then like once a year I'm supposed to balance it out and pay my bill once a year. And I have not been doing that because literally for years they've been sending me warnings saying, this is your final warning. Literally for years. Because it I don't know why I didn't. I did it with the gas bill. I'm on record. It's okay because I had to deal with it. But I did it with the gas bill, and I'm like, I wonder when they're going to shut my gas off. I just kind of wanted to see how long it would go because again, they kept sending me warnings. Final note every single time they send you a notice. It's final notice, literally for years, year after year after year. So like earlier this year, I just called them and I'm like, you've been sending me these final notice warnings for years. You're never going to shut my gas off. It's like you don't have the employees to come and turn my gas off. I'm like, so what do we do about this? And she's like, well, we can do this one-time forgiveness thing. And it was like it had been years. So it was like my bill was like $3,000. I owed them like $3,000. And I was just like, how long are you going to keep sending me final notices? It's like the boy who cried wolf, right? They just never do anything. I understand this makes me look horribly irresponsible. And I'll cop to it. It's this has nothing to do with the IRS. Come on. The IRS is a whole different problem. And so they're like, well, we do have this one-time forgiveness program. And I'm like, so what's that? They're like, well, we'll forgive your debt, but you have to make your payments from now on. I'm like, done. That sounds very simple to me. I'm like, can you do that with my electricity bill? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll just keep hoping that that keeps. And that was like 6 or 8 months ago. And so I kept getting final notices on my electricity. I have solar, which I'm like, you're not going to come shut off my solar, my power. I've got solar. They shut off my power. They shut off my power this morning, like early in the morning. And I'm like, we noticed because the fan stopped moving. And I went around and I look, I'm like, there's no things. I didn't get a text. I didn't get anything. Well, actually I got a text, but it was like 3 days ago. My latest final warning, final notice. And so I didn't have, here's the thing. I don't keep money in my bank account. I keep money on crypto, and I have to have my computer in order to access most of my crypto. And so I'm talking to him. I'm like, I got like $1,000 in my bank account. I'm like, I need electricity to access the rest of my money. And so we worked out a deal. Actually, could transfer. I did have something on another account I had on my phone, but I transfer and we took care of it. But that was just irritating. And then I went on my roof with a like a Swiffer with a towel on it to like wipe down my, because I'm like, why am I even getting? It's summer. It's well, air conditioning. That's one thing, but it's like I should be getting the most use of my solar during the summer. And it's like I'm getting an electricity bill this month that's higher than I've had in literally in years. So I don't know why I'm complaining about all this. I'm just saying I'm irresponsible, and I just wanted to push. I pushed my limits to see how far I could push the limits on this. Is that it's kind of childish, isn't it? I'm going to say it's a little bit childish, but yeah. So I've been up since then. I really wanted to go back to sleep for another hour, but I didn't. So, and then after this, I have to take my son. He's got a job interview, so I have to take my son to a job interview, and then I have my meeting this week. So it's gonna be a busy day. And then tonight I'll be on with Eric Nieltowski. He's doing a show on the future of Christian comics, I believe it is. I think spot on the solar panels because of the fires. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel, Daddy. You would think my electric bill literally doubled this summer. Although I love him, I have a question for our president about that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Well, I do know what's going on. They're constantly raising the electricity rates. SDG&E is like the mafia. And now they're using other people's solar when they don't use enough electricity. Like I am. I'm generating it and I'm selling it back to the grid. They have a separate rate for that. So what I'm generating and then selling back to the grid when I don't use all of it, they're making money off of me, and they're not giving me enough. Anyways, Epstein. You know, the Epstein files, it looks like they're going to be voted on. I know this is a great transition, isn't it? I want to see what's in those files. And I understand the argument that it's like, look, just because someone's name is in the Epstein files does not mean he's guilty of dark, nefarious things. And I understand that even though Epstein was a pedo, let's just call him a friend of Hunter. Epstein, never heard of him. Hi, Mike. Hi, Chad. Hi, Bruno. Oh, hi, Bruno. Hi, Tina. Hi, Justin. Hi, Dustin. Dustin. March Hare. Everybody without lies. I miss anybody? And just because somebody's name is in there, and that's a problem that honestly the media is not going to. It's like if anybody's name is on there, you make assumptions, right? Like Bill Maher's probably not on there, but and then this other guy was talking to me about, or not talking to me, but I was watching somebody explain how it's like the blackmailing thing doesn't really work, because if you're blackmailing people would be like, hey, don't go to Epstein's island, they'll blackmail you, right? It's it's not a very good secret blackmailing system if you're actually blackmailing people. But but he was saying, what was it that the list of people, some of them may have been pedophiles, which obviously hang them high, but a lot of these guys were probably just like, hey, old farty ugly rich dude just wants to go have access to young attractive women for that kind of a thing. It doesn't mean that everyone's got a flavor for adolescence. And Epstein provided that service, and he said that that's sort of a thing that a scummy financier might do to garner the business of rich old men. So it's like, yes, he did dirty, disgusting stuff, but the idea that everybody who went to Epstein Island was a pedophile is like highly unlikely. Not saying that, but here's I want to see the files anyways, understanding that assumption is going to be made right out of the gate, and then it's like you're trying to people are going to have to sit there and explain themselves, who really they didn't do anything illegal, they're just dirty old men. And it may be embarrassing for them, and it may not. For some of them, they were like, yeah, I like to do things with women. And I am from, Saudi Arabia, whatever, whoever's on the list, right? But man, and so guys, I love Trump. You guys all know I love Trump. Gosh dang it! What is my freaking stupid camera again? Why is it always misfocusing? Anyways, but I want to see the files. Y'all want to see the files? I want to see the files. I do want to see the files, and I know it's gonna blow up, and it's gonna be like, it's gonna be a political football, and it's gonna probably make a lot of people's lives harder than they probably should be made. And I don't know. I don't have a lot of empathy for that. Oh, by the way, the empathy thing, right? It's funny because it came up so much. I just listened to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And they have these empathy boxes on there where you're literally, and this is what empathy is, right? It's like you're supposed to feel what someone else feels. Yeah, I don't really care about the collateral damage. Yeah. How did I get to empathy from here? Oh, I don't have a lot of empathy for the. Sorry, now I'm going on to friggin' Blade Runner, which, by the way, totally different. Totally different. Not totally different, but significantly different story to Blade Runner. Um, such squirrels, man. I chase the squirrels. That's just where they go. But so the empathy thing is like, um, that word's only like 100 years old, and it was at first the guy who came up with the word. He was talking about art, and he was trying to like, I'm trying to get people to feel what I feel when I create this art. I want them to feel through my art what I felt when I was creating that art. That's the word, and it's a German word, like empataka, whatever. I just did the etymology of the word today. And then some psychologist is like, hey, that artist's word for feeling what you feel, I'm going to use that in psychology and say, people have empathy, like when someone's like when Erica Kirk's crying on stage. You're feeling, well, you can't. Here's the thing. You literally can't. What's the word again in German? I can look it up. I don't remember. But you literally, it's empathy is when Charlie Kirk was like, I don't like the word empathy. I don't believe in empathy. I'm trying really hard to think how empathy is possible, because you literally can't feel what someone else is feeling, even in the stage of like Erica Kirk, and she's crying on stage because she lost her husband and the love of her life. You can feel sympathy for that person. You can feel bad for her, and because of that, you were crying, but you can't, unless you're actually going through what she's going through. You can't you literally can't. There's no psychic connection between you and Erica Kirk so that you can feel and understand exactly what she feels. The closest you can get is sympathy, right? Because you can't, we're not psychic beings that connect our brains and emotions. You can have very, very strong sympathy, and that you can also be sad, but you can't be sad the same way Erica is sad. Right? You can't have joy for something that happens to someone in the same way because it didn't happen to you. You can have joy for that person, but that's sympathy. You can have joy because of that thing happening that happened to that person, and you can have joy from an external perspective. I think I understand what Charlie Kirk meant by he doesn't believe in empathy. I don't think empathy is actually possible. You can just have strong sympathy. It's an entirely different feeling. Yeah, sympathy is possible. And I understand the artist saying, I'm trying to make people feel what I feel when I make this art. I get that. And on an artistic thing, the attempt to make people empathize with the feeling. It's the attempt at empathy. I get that. So in the sense of that, empathy is truly something that's unattainable. But the attempt at empathy is really, it really comes, I guess you can attempt to empathize, but it's literally impossible. I think it is literally impossible. Unless someone can convince me otherwise. I got to stick with empathy is literally impossible. So it really is, sympathy is really the better word, because that is right. And even if you and someone else are having the exact same emotion because of the exact same situation, it's because you are both in the similar same situation, experiencing a thing in unison, but you're not empathizing with their experience. You're having your own experience, but the experience is parallel. That also is not empathy. Iron Charioteer says Isaiah 53 is not about Jesus, bro. Yes, it is. Have you read it? Did you read it? Because it's so not about Jesus that they don't teach it in synagogues. Why do you think they don't teach it in synagogues, Iron Charioteer? If it's so obviously just about Israel, why wouldn't they teach it in synagogues? Why is it you could go to Jerusalem, you could go to Israel, and show people Isaiah 53, Jews, faithful Jews who've lived in Israel, speak Hebrew, and then you tell them about Isaiah 53, you read Isaiah 53 to them, and they say, well, that's Jesus. But Iron Charioteer knows better than everyone else who can just clearly read. Lies says, anytime someone says Isaiah 53 isn't about Jesus, you automatically know that person is a deceptive liar. Well, here in this case, I think this fella, Iron Charioteer, saw that this is called Reconstruction Zone. And so he's a fan of Justin, who's constantly promoting the lie that Isaiah 53 is not about Jesus. And so he's a follower who doesn't think for himself. He just believes whatever Justin says. Right, Iron Charioteer? Am I correct in my understanding of who you are and why you're here? I'll just assume yes. Just another bot. Well, he's just another person who can't think for himself, so he lets Justin do his thinking for him, and he thinks that Justin is just so smart, because obviously he never saw Justin debate on a neutral platform with someone who actually knows what they're talking about. Iron Charioteer, do yourself a favor, look up Justin Deacon, whatever his last name is, Deconstruction Zone Justin, on Tim Pool. Right? Go look him up on the Tim Pool show. Watch that show and watch how easily dismantled his ridiculous claims are. And then also watch how obsessive he is about turning every single topic into an antichrist topic. Like any topic is like tries to turn it back into about that. But Jesus is a blah 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 because he's a bot. Iron Charioteer says Christians have been deluded by Jews. How does that feel? The first Christians were Jews. Jesus was a Jew. The apostles were almost all Jewish. Actually, I think they were all Jewish. And again, go back to your point. I know you're jumping off the cliff because of the point I just made. The Jews don't teach Isaiah 53 because it is so blatantly and obviously Jesus. Go read it. Go watch the videos about showing Isaiah 53 in Israel. Deluded in what way and by which Jews? He's one of those Jews under the bed type. Hey, what's up, Ryder? The Jews that make up like 2% of the world, yes, we're all under their mind control. Now, I think it's the leftists that are deluded by the Jews. A particular Jew named George Soros, who is actually not a religious Jew. He's an atheist Jew, too. He's Jew by blood, not by faith. And look, saying the Jews, I'm married to a Jew from a Jewish family. So, are you circumcised? Oh, that's a personal opinion. I, like most Americans, my age and generations before and after, yes, I'm circumcised. Not that it's any of your business. But you know why? You know why, Iron Charioteer, I'm circumcised, even though I was born to a agnostic father and a Buddhist mother? Because circumcision, it turns out, was a great way to keep the woman's, what do you call it, ova? The womb in the woman from being injected with bacterium and other foreign bugaboos that might cause things like cervical cancer. Here we go again, Snipstream. Well, he clearly doesn't know. So back in the, I don't know, it was the late 1800s, early 1900s, something like that, a gynecologist noticed that his Jewish patients didn't get cervical cancer. And his other patients, did just average cervical cancer rates. But his Jewish patients did not get cervical cancer. What was the difference between the Jewish women and the Goyim? The Jewish women's husbands were all circumcised. That's right. That moist, warm pocket of petri dish bacterium that uncircumcised males carry around with them was not part of the Jewish experience. And lo and behold, he discovered that this weird ancient tradition that God asked the Jews to do actually kept their population healthier. Weird. Who would have thought that? Who would have come up with that in the desert 3,000 years ago? Okay, I'm gonna not go on with the, but that was one I will happily carry my bacteria thing. Total bollocks, Mike. Bro, it's not bollocks. That's absolute reality. So Jesus made a mistake with male genitals. No, he didn't, because in the beginning, everything was good and perfect and clean. Well, Egyptians did it too. It's a practice that predates Moses. Did they really? I'm going to look that up. I'm fine being uncut, just wash. Yeah, but here's the thing. 3,000 years ago in the desert, people didn't have quite the access to sterile environments that we do today. There is no historical or archaeological evidence to confirm whether Egyptians circumcised boys before the time of Moses, who was traditionally dated around 1300, 1200 BC. Based on biblical chronology, however, some insights can be drawn from available data. Ancient Egyptian practices, evidence from Egyptian art and mummies dating back to as early as the Old Kingdom suggests that circumcision was practiced at least among certain classes, such as priests or elites. For example, reliefs from the tomb of Akhnamahor depict a circumcision ritual. This indicates the practice predates Moses by several centuries. Well, that's kind of contradictory. Cultural context. Circumcision in ancient Egypt was likely a rite of passage or a social status rather than a widespread religious requirement. It was not universally applied to all males, unlike later Jewish practice linked to the Mosaic covenant. Before Moses, since the practice appeared in Egyptian records well before the traditionally accepted... Oh, wait a second. Was circumcision... Freaking Grok has been like glitching lately. Like every time it says Grok cannot answer. So Abraham circumcised himself, his household and all male descendants as a sign of the covenant between God and Abraham's lineage. This event is traditionally dated to 2000 BC based on biblical chronology. Abraham is estimated of blah 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 blah. Oh, so he circumcised himself and Ishmael and then Isaac. So on all the males of his household. I wonder why they did it in Egypt. Why was that a religious ritual? But obviously it wasn't for everybody, so it wasn't part of the it was not part of any covenant. The foreskin emits antiseptic to clean the penis and vajayjay. Triglom, you're gonna have to explain to me why then. When my brother was he 8 or 10 years old, he got an infection in his foreskin, and he had a late term circumcision. So my brother got infected down there, and also it's just a fact. This is how you realize that for decades in this country, it was standard practice to circumcise kids, like in the hospital. And it is because of this discovery. This is not hogwash. This is that's why I'm circumcised. I'm not Jewish. My brother wasn't circumcised, but it was just pretty standard practice, which actually does make me question why my brother was circumcised. But most people my generation were in America. I don't know. I don't think that's the case in Europe. Antiochus almost got them to wash regularly and attend the gym, but the Proto-Taliban revolted. That's Hanukkah for you folks. Proto-Taliban? Really? Are you purified, blessed be he, by the blood of Christ? Yes. We also have records of the practice in ancient Africa. For what purpose, though? So this isn't just some Jews being gross. No, but it was a covenant. It's the covenant relationship. All males at day 8. Mike, that doesn't change the fact that it emits antiseptic. Well, then it also doesn't prove the fact that antiseptic is also always works. Right? How does a tiny segment of skin emit anything of itself? Yeah, I never heard of the antiseptic thing. Honestly. So you're saying it's the penis itself. I don't really want to talk about that. Oh my gosh, every time Grok was unable to reply and I have to hit retry. No. The uncircumcised penis does not emit antiseptic. The term antiseptic refers to substances that kill or inhibit the growth of microorganisms such as bacteria or fungi, and there is no specific evidence to suggest that the human body, circumcised or uncircumcised, naturally produces or emits such a substance from the penis. However, the foreskin in an uncircumcised penis does contain natural oils and secretions such as smegma, which is a mixture of dead skin cells, oils, and moisture. Smegma itself is not antiseptic. It can actually harbor bacteria and fungi if not properly cleaned. potentially leading to irritation or infection if hygiene is neglected. Proper cleaning with soap and water is recommended to maintain health regardless of circumcision status. So what are you even talking about, Tree Goblin? Where are you getting your information? Best guess is ritual. Later into the Christian era, it was regularly seen as a male coming of age ritual. Oh, interesting. All right. How do I get off of this topic? Censorship. Up next, genital mutilation. Google Medics. All right. Oh, the irony. I got it from a documentary on genital mutilation. Okay. It's a snip stream. Cut. All right. Google. Well, Grok is a better search engine than Google. So I don't know where you're getting it. just the tip. All right, let's stop. Censorship. Let's censor this discussion. The doc might have been biased. Yeah, I mean, look, people are biased, right? Mike, you're stuck now. Grok, tell us about I need to get off of this. Jane, get me off of this crazy thing. All right, censorship. Politics. Oh, snap. Actually, I want to show you guys this thing. This is not the different subject. Oh, no. You know what? I'll just do this one. Share screen. This is the irony of the left getting so butthurt about the FCC saying, we should look into ABC's license. That's all they said. It's not literally because I'm paraphrasing, but pretty much it was like a one sentence. It's like, we should look into this thing. And then everyone's like, the government getting involved in media? Oh, my stars and garters. My panties are afire. You remember Facebook? Remember YouTube? Remember all of the censorship under Biden that they celebrated? That the very people who are crying their crocodile tears right now celebrated under Biden. Right? For Pete's sake, they celebrated Donald Trump getting kicked off of Twitter. Celebrated. Roundly. I don't remember any leftist, maybe Bill Maher, but I'm not even sure about him, not celebrating the president of the United States getting kicked off of Twitter. And by the way, if you don't remember, that was before January 6th. Google admits censorship under Biden, promises to end bans of YouTube accounts, and thousands of Americans censored for political speech. I had a 14,000 subscriber channel, and it was growing. I got that 14,000 subscribers in a matter of weeks. That's how hot all this stuff was back then. And they just deleted my channel completely. Doug TeNapel. What was it? The Quartering? A whole bunch of guys we knew were getting their channels demonetized, struck, shut down completely. It was field day on conservative. That's probably not the right term, but conservatives were targeted en masse for censorship during this time. And all of these guys were happy as clams, happy as pigs in poop that we weren't being allowed our right to free speech, right? But the FCC says, oh, we should look into this. And all of them go apoplectic. Apofreaking-plectic. The hypocrisy. The hypocrisy. Insane. Blessed be he says, you are not a real Christian. Who are you talking about? And who are you to judge also? Did Jesus say to wash your hands before eating? The Bible says to wash your hands before eating because it's a ritual law. Oh, actually, wait a minute. I don't think that is one of the laws. Washing pots and pans is. Greg was unable to reply. Washing ceremonial law. It is not explicitly detailed as a universal commandment for all meals. Practice is mostly directed to the laws of ritual purity, which states that a person who has bodily discharge. Oh. Which states that a person. Back to smegma. Person who has bodily discharge must wash their hands before touching others or eating to avoid spreading impurity. And priests have to wash their hands before approaching the altar. So, no, it was not a Levitical law. My bad. I apologize. It was not a Levitical law that you have to wash your hands before eating every time. Just if you've been doing it, but I mean, like sneezing, right? If you sneeze, bodily discharge, then you have to wash your hands before eating. Well, that's kind of a smart thing to do too, right? That's because if you sneeze, sometimes you're sick. And so if you are sick and you have bacteria, you sneeze in your hands, you might spread those germs. Wow. Pretty good Levitical law there, huh, Iron Charioteer? Wouldn't you agree that that's a pretty good biblical law, Iron Charioteer? I don't want government involved in media, but the left made its bed, crapped in it, and now we're going to make them lay down. Google was doing that before the auto pen told them to. They were just using that as an excuse. Eating with unwashed hands does not defile us. Yes, the best judge of who is a real Christian is or not is from someone who has clearly never read the Bible. He's going to make a thing about Mark 7 and Matthew 15. Yawn. Just avoid using the left hand in Muslim countries. That's very much a Muslim country thing. Because they wipe their butts with their left hands. For those of you who don't know, they eat with their right hands and they wipe their butts with their left hands. So never shake a Muslim's left hand. All right, well, that was the censorship part of the conversation. I'm very curious, blessed be he. Who are you talking about? And do you have an argument to be made here? That's always a fun one. You're not a real Christian. Who are you talking about? And what is your evidence to that point? All right. Actually, they did the same in medieval Europe. What, eat with the right and with the left? Did they really? It's kind of gross. I saw there's a documentary on these Americans who've been moving to Africa. By the way, parts of Africa look very much like sort of standard Western nations. But yeah, you go to the restaurant and the guy's eating with both hands, and like people around them are like, like, no, Dad, Dad, you're just supposed to eat with your right hand. It's like, why? Because everybody there just wipes their butt with their left hand. Don't they own bidets? That's why Japan's awesome. Bidets everywhere. Everyone's clean. Jesus' point about rebuking the Pharisees in that encounter was juxtaposing outward and inward spiritual purity. It wasn't about hygiene. Well, on top of that, it was about the laws of man over the laws of God, the tradition of man rather than the laws of God, right? So, no, you're not supposed to, or you don't have to wash your hands every time you eat. Personally, I like to wash my hands every time I eat because I'm like fastidious. I like to wash my hands before I draw. I wash my hands a lot. So I guess I'm clean. As clean as one can be, I suppose. I mean, I feel like washing my hands right now. You know what I'm going to do? I have some isopropyl alcohol here. I'm just going to splash a little bit on my hand so it feels clean. I highly recommend the documentary Empire of Dust if you're interested in Africa. Romans had sponges and public toilets plus plumbing. Right. Well, these Africans also have plumbing. I'm not talking about Africans in huts. I'm talking about the ones in the suburbs. Yeah, it was really weird because when people generally think of Africa, they don't think of it like that. But it's like if you go to Africa, it is. I mean, a lot of Africa is fairly modern in the sense that they have houses and restaurants, and I was going to say Whataburger, but they probably don't have Whataburger. Oh, it's free on YouTube. Oh, that's nice. All right, what else was I going to talk about? Islam. There's this video. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, this is disgusting. But it's typical. It's what you would call just very typical Islam. That. I'll just leave this. The pedophile warmonger is their role model. Let's go to the okay. So our leader is our role model. The prophet is our role model. Again, the prophet who married a 6-year-old and consummated at 9 when he was 57. No, he was 53 when he married her. So 56 56-year-old man with a 9-year-old. Okay. That's your role model. That's these children's role model. And then jihad, death in the name of Allah, is the supreme path. Death in the name of God is the supreme path. And then salute. This is standard Islam. He was 51 when he married her. I thought he was 53 when he married her. Was he 51? Okay, so he was 54 when they everybody hated to be picked and recite. He said prayer. Yeah, you don't need to hear it, I guess. That's fine. He was 54 when he slept with her. She was 9. Sahih Bukhari 51:35. Oh, okay. All right. I got my. Sorry about that. I'm not always right. Just most of the time. Actually, I've been wrong twice on this episode. Dang it. You guys, I don't know why you guys come here. What a waste of time. But yeah, if you're a lovely westernized Muslim person who doesn't believe that death is this death in the name of Allah, in other words, martyrdom, is the supreme death, which again is why they so easily get people to suicide bomb themselves. So easy for them to convince these kids, because look at this brainwashing. This is standard Islam. My point, if you're a westernized Muslim and you don't believe all of this stuff, awesome. But you're the outliers in the world of Islam. Okay? You are the outliers. Sana Abi Dawood 203, if you know, you know. I wonder what these little backpacks have inside. Well, there's no Jews around, so they wouldn't bother carrying suicide backpacks at this point. But I kind of categorized Muslims a while ago, and I've never had a Muslim, when I was discussing this with them, disagree. There are three kinds of Muslims. There are pre-Mahdi Muslims, post-Mahdi Muslims, and cultural Muslims. Cultural Muslims are like cultural Christians, right? Yeah, I go to church. Oh yeah, I have a Bible. Oh yeah, I do the thing. I call myself a Christian. I go to church on Easter and Christmas, whatever. Right? There's cultural Muslims like that. Yeah, I do the prayer rug thing, whatever. I don't eat pork. Blah blah blah. The post-Mahdi Muslims are Muslims who they believe wholeheartedly in the global jihad, but they believe the global jihad starts after the Mahdi shows up. For those of you who are unaware, the Mahdi in the Quran aligns very well with what do we call him in Christianity? Oh yeah, the Antichrist. So when the Mahdi comes, then these guys will jump into line and whip out their machetes and chase everyone around, beheading them. Then you have the pre-Mahdi Muslims, which are the Muslims who believe they need to start chopping heads off and burning people alive and doing all this stuff in order to bring the Mahdi about. Now, if the Mahdi turns out to be the Antichrist, and then we all know that he's coming and they're going to follow him. At the time the Antichrist comes, so the pre-Mahdi Muslims we call terrorists and extremists. The post-Mahdi Muslims we call, oh, that's just our neighbor Abdul. He's cool. We go to mini golf with him. But great. And then there's a couple of Muslims, which to me are the best kind of Muslims because they don't really care. But when the Antichrist comes, these guys move over here, and then these guys move over here too. So the terrorist extremist group envelops the rest of Islam. How many Muslims are there in the world? 2 billion Muslims in the world. That'll be fun. Dustin Cross says, Islam in the West is not Islam. Go to a Islamic nation and they kill apostates. That's why the supposed numbers of Muslims are higher. That's why the supposed numbers of Muslims are higher. What? I don't understand the supposed number of Muslims. But yeah, I've never met a Muslim that disagreed with my categorization of the 3 Muslim groups. And also, again, even if you're just a cultural Muslim, when your Mahdi shows up, you're going to get in line. Because you know who if you don't get in line, you're the enemy too, right? And when Mahdi shows up and tells everyone it is time for the global jihad, and as the Quran says, look, there is a Jew hiding behind this rock. Go, jihadi, and behead them. And that's it's coming. I'm not sure when it's coming. And I really hope the rapture's a pre-millennial or a pre-tribulation. Paul Muad'Dib. Yep. Did you guys have prayer in the schoolyard? I didn't. I was a secular kid, so I didn't do none of that. Yeah, he had to wait a little until she was able to bear his weight. Disgusting. Adam. You just remind me of Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson is like, so there's also a thing in Islam, I guess, that you're not supposed to injure a woman. And so at the age Aisha was when he penetrated her, her private parts would have only been able to what is the proper word here? Contain a 1.5 inch depth. So he was saying that in order for Muhammad to be righteous, he must have only had a 1.5 inch penis. All right. They only act like our friends in the West because they don't have enough people or power to enforce jihad. Right, which they're trying to change, which they're changing in certain areas in England and in France and in Germany. And yeah, it's kind of mandatory. No, I'm secular. Excuses. The millimeter Peter Wilson argument. Millimeter Peter. Bear? Wait, what? Yep. Bear? Wait, who? What? Bear. You mean bear his weight? We're talking about bear her weight? Bear his weight? Accommodate. Accommodate. There you go. That's a good word for it. He could only, if he was accommodating, if she was accommodating, then he had to have a micro penis. But that's neither here nor there or anywhere. Anyways, don't take Tylenol if you're pregnant. That's my list for today. I didn't have much of a list. And all right, I'm going to wrap it up early. I know we only admitted early, but I am tired because I did get up too early today. And I got to get some stuff done. So God bless you all. Thank you for being here. I'm just going to leave this one up. I don't really care. Yeah, I've been taking down the videos and then re-uploading them so that I actually get the views from them because I'm getting there. God bless you guys. We'll see you in the next exciting episode of Cross Examinations. I'm only a minute shy.